Hi Giovanni, please introduce yourself.
Hey, hi Alessandro. Thank you for this occasion. So I'm Giovanni Pandolfi Bortoletto. I'm one of the co-founders and CTO of LeapSpace.
How would you define new space?
Well, this this is a tricky question, but I think that new space is us. I would say so. All the people involved in the space sector is probably just a generation thing. I would say, but you can see at the different conferences, and the average age is decreasing. I would say, and there is more of a push actually to be involved in the space sector, move the space sector. On the base is just new people getting in the space sector, maybe also from other sectors or directly from university. Or this is us, I think.
LeapSpace is working on a ground segment as a service solution. Can you maybe explain what it is and why is it needed?
We were quite one of the first to actually talk about ground segment as a service. Is something similar to what has been the cloud for the IT sector. So starting to think of the ground station as a commodity, and that can be used as a service instead of need to have a dedicated internal team to handle the ground station or ground segment operations for a company or for a satellite operator. Just rely on reliable partners and providers to actually let them basically focus on their business. So handling all the operations, maintenance, and refurbishment, deployment of new asset and new infrastructure for you, while you can sit in your operation room, use our service, and talk with your satellite. I think it's something new, and I think here New Space really play a good part because it's really driven from the need of satellite operators to focus more on what they want to do. I think we are seeing also that shift from the early days, like with Planet Aspire, where they were building up all their infrastructure, both the satellite side and the ground side, to more new players focusing more on the data that they are harvesting with the satellites in orbit. Doesn't matter who have built that satellite, but of course it need to be reliable, and doesn't matter how the data is actually received on the ground. This is something that we are trying to do more and more deeply in the concept of that. So try to really abstract the infrastructure from the service. That is what the customers see, in order to let them really focus on what they're doing. Of course, relying on us as reliable partner, able to provide specific capacity with specific SLAs.
Leasing ground stations has been around for a while. What is new in your value proposition and how can New Space innovate in this segment?
What is new is all the rest of the thing around. So it's not just leasing ground stations. It's not just that you go as Svalbard or another nice place and you put your baseband equipment, your connection, and that's it. It's more on the added values around. So the ability for you to use a network instead of just a single station or in a single location. So that without bothering actually on all the setup fees, licensing, baseband equipment, integration, and so on. So it's really more on simplifying the access to space. This actually is our motto actually, and providing you some simple interface that you can use just to transfer your data to your satellite without needing to worry about that there's actually a ground station or infrastructure handling that. It's really on that, abstracting as much as possible the infrastructure, like has been done with the cloud, and make it easy for our customers to do their everyday job.
What technical and economic factors make a difference when you're choosing between a shared ground segment solution, say ground segment as a service, and a dedicated ground segment? How would you choose and how would you weight the cost and benefits?
Well, there are a lot of different things that are not so obvious actually when you start looking at what you will need for ground segment. So it's fairly easy to say from a satellite operator point of view, say, okay, this is the price for a ground station if I buy it on the market. This is the price that I need to pay for the rent, and this is maybe the price that I need to pay for the interconnection and so on. What is much harder to see is actually all the other overhead or other costs involved in the process. So you need to actually go there, install a ground station. You need to have permission to install and operate a ground station. You need to have licensing for RF. The customers are typically more used to the satellite part of the licensing, not maybe on the ground segment. And in some cases, it's not even used to the satellite part. So we need to help on that. There is a lot of difference between having a ground station and or ground station infrastructure and having a reliable ground station infrastructure. And that's where actually it's game changing. You know, when you can provide an infrastructure that's really has really high level of reliability, but with a price that you will not have, or the cost that you will not have, even if you're building everything by yourself. You talk about shared ground segment as a service, so and dedicated ground segment. Actually, we also started a few years ago with a specific customer to have dedicated ground segment as a service. Is what we called lift key, and where we actually build up a network of ground stations that are just dedicated to a single mission. Then, of course, it makes much more sense when you have a kind of a constellation that have the capacity, but economically, it's really game changing. Even compared with our lift line network, that is a shared multi-mission ground station network. At the end of the day, you need to compare the different clear costs that you have to set up your ground segment, but also the not so clear cost that is related to having people inside your team that actually knows what to do and that are dedicated to that, because otherwise it doesn't work. I would say, and all the other costs that you need to pay to go to the ground station, set it up, use it, and so on. But and at the end of the day, is also the price that you pay to not focus on your business. Actually, that's the thing. Doing something that is not valuable. I will not say this is not core, because of course the ground segment is core to every satellite business, but it's not where you can actually provide more value to your solution. I think that at the end of the day, you just get to that.
One of the things that is happening nowadays is the increase in autonomy in spacecraft operations. How will this technology trend affect your solution and crowd segment in general?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. It's something that we are seeing with different partners, I would say, our customers, both on the mission providers side or the operations as a service side, but also on other companies that are developing more autonomous software, in-flight software. I will not see a decrease actually in ground segment usage, I would say, but actually I would probably see an increase. Why? Because the use of autonomously or so autonomous software really will enable a more cost-effective or efficient usage of the satellite. So right now, if you have really a bare metal concept of operation, I would say, is that you can uplink your schedule to your satellite through a ground station. Then the satellite will do that as long as you plan it, and you will receive the data on the different passes or different context windows that you schedule, and that's it. But if you have any other tasking coming from a customer, for example, for Earth observation, or you have a surge use for IoT, for example, where that you do not expect it, the time that you get to address that change is it's high if you don't use any automation, both on the ground segment or on the mission operation side and on the satellite. So you will lose time. The important thing of the space sector is that the data has a value if you deliver it with a certain time in a certain time frame. Otherwise, it can have some value, of course, for data archiving or something like that, but it's not the biggest value. So a new space constellation, Earth observation constellation, and IoT were started from the need to have a high revisit time, so low revisit time, sorry, and really high throughput. Okay, in terms of daily data that can create on a constellation level, not on a single satellite level. If you're not providing that data in a timely manner, or if you're not adapting your schedule or the schedule of your satellite in a timely manner, you're not making as much money as you can, or you're not addressing your customer need as you can. I don't see a direct impact on our business, for example, in terms of capacity change, or at least I can see an impact, but just increasing. I see more an impact instead talking about scheduling. Right now we are, I think, one of the only ones, ground segment as a service provider, actually scheduling the activity of our own network based on the constraints of the satellite. So we have an automation and optimization algorithm that do that for ourselves and for our customers. And if you put together the scheduling algorithm with the one used by our customer on their end to actually schedule the activity of the satellite, you can have a perfectly matched operation of your constellation without, instead of you having the ground segment as a constraint or as input, you will actually move and control that scheduling to be more efficient for your operation. So I see that going on, and I think also the starting or emerging of companies providing operations as a service or mission as a service will actually help that. There will be a development, okay, but there will be companies actually focusing on that and providing this service. So I think that is something that reflects the maturity where we are going to as a new space market. When you have different providers, different users, and so on, I think that really move the market from a bubble, I would say, or a really fast changing market to a more stable and growing market.
Thank you, Giovanni, for joining us today, and best of luck at Leaf Space.
Thank you, Alessandro. It's been really a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Ciao.